Hello everyone, my name is Tina Smith and welcome to PhotoPlay's YouTube channel. Today I am super excited to share a Valentine project with you using a few new items from Becky Moore's Say It With Stamps collection. This is a brand new release and there's lots more to this release. I hope you get a chance to check out the release. We are going to use the I Otterly Love You stamp set, which will just steal your heart. If you love otters, this is just the perfect stamp set for that. We're going to do a little bit of stamping and jump in with our project. We'll start off by taking our stamp positioner and adding some alcohol marker friendly cardstock in that corner. And I'm using the otter that is holding the Valentine that says Be Mine. And I'm going to stamp the outline of the heart and also the little cattail image on this panel. We'll pick this up with the lid of our Misty, and then I'm going to be using some alcohol marker friendly ink. This is actually Memento Tuxedo Black ink. It's my favorite ink when I Copic color. Those are the alcohol markers that I like to use. But any color, any alcohol markers that you have would work fabulous. The images are easy to color in. We'll stamp this, and I do want to stamp that heart one more time. So I'm going to clean it off and then put it just below my otter and stamp that in the open area. So we have two hearts here. Okay, I'm going to color in my images with Copic markers. I do skip the coloring only because I like to take my time, and it helps shorten the video a little bit. But otter was traditional browns, and then the hearts, instead of going bold reds, I wanted to go a little bit softer, so I chose some rosy pinks. I went ahead and did a little bit of die cutting. I die cut out my cattail, and we're going to go ahead and finish off this last heart and die cut that out as well. Okay, once everything is cut out, we are going to continue on with our background. We're going to do a little bit more stamping, and this time we're going to bring in a I want to call it a 6x6 stamp set, but it's actually slightly smaller. It's like a 5 3/4 inch by 5 3/4 inch background stamp, but it's called it's the Hello background stamp. Now this stamp has typewritten hello sentiments in the back, and I think it's going to be a nice soft background for my project today. Keeping it soft, I'm going to use some gray ink. I'm using London Fog from Memento, but any kind of gray ink that you have would work great. We'll just ink up our background and use our handy tool here to press down that ink really good into the paper. And I'm going to ink it up one more time and repeat the process just so I get a real good impression. So our background is done, and I like windows and frames on my cards. You'll find me using a lot of those for my projects. So that we're going to take a nested die set from PhotoPlay Say It With Stamps collection. We are going to also trim down this panel just so it's smaller and leaves a little bit of border on our card base. I end up trimming it down to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. Now when it is a stamped background, I prefer to cut all 4 edges. This way all my script is nice and even versus just cutting off a 1/2 inch off my side of my panel. Okay, I have the A2 Nested Arches die set. Love this die set, and I took 2 of them, a smaller one and a slightly larger one. We're going to take the smaller one and cut out an archway in our background panel that we just stamped. We're going to make sure it's evenly spaced. Tack that down with a little bit of masking tape, and then this larger arch we're going to die cut out with white cardstock, but I'm going to layer the small one inside to create a thin frame with the white. We'll just remove this arch. We're not going to need the inside arch, we're going to use the negative piece of this, but save that, you can use that for another card. I'll take the smaller arch, put it on the inside of the larger arch here, evenly space them, tack them down so we have a nice, it's about a 1/4 inch frame with white cardstock. I'm going to flip this around and use my glue and go around all the edges, and then we'll go ahead and tack this down over our window panel here. This just gives a real clean look, I think. There are 9 arches in the A2 Nested Arches die set, so it's a nice set to have in your basic scrap stash. Okay, we are going to need something to put behind our window. So I have another piece of white cardstock, and we're going to do a little bit of ink blending using a stencil. The stencil we're using is called the Waves Edger. It's a 4x9 stencil, and there's two different styles of waves. I chose the more sharp pointed ones, and we're going to do a little bit of ink blending with two different colors of Distress Oxide ink. I have a light and a dark. The lightest is Tumbled Glass. We're going to just add a little color to our top wave here. And then our next wave, we're going to shift our stencil just a little bit. Better zoom in so you can see a little bit better. And then we'll take our darker ink, which is Faded Jeans, and then we're going to add a little color to our second wave. We're just going to continue this process all the way down our panel. The cardstock that I'm using is not a great ink blending cardstock. It's my white cardstock that I use for my card bases, but it blends enough to where it looks like waves, and that's what I was just going for. If you want a real smoother transition, I suggest maybe using a Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, but my white cardstock just worked perfectly for it. After I have all my waves ink blended, it's going to fit perfectly behind my window. I do need to trim down my panel with my scissors a little bit, and then that panel is good to go. Next, we're going to do a little bit more die cutting. We have some pattern paper here. This is Becky Moore Say It With Stamps PASTEL 6x6 paper pad. I'm going to be using the pink striped paper. The front is tone-on-tone stripes, horizontal stripes. The reverse side is the diagonal pink and white stripes. We're going to use both sides of that cardstock. I'm going to be using this is a new die set too from this month's release, and it's the Love die. There's a die that will cut out the word love. I love the font on this, and then there's also a shadow die that will accompany it. So I die cut out the love with the tone-on-tone pattern paper, and then I die cut out some fun foam with adhesive on it with that same love sentiment die. Now for my shadow die, or the outline, I just die cut it out with white cardstock, and that's what I'm adhering the fun foam to right now. We're just going to remove the release paper and then add our pattern paper right over the top. This is going to give it a little bit of dimension. If you guys don't have fun foam, you could actually die cut out the word love with white cardstock a few times and then layer that love on top for the same effect. But I just layered them both together, so our sentiment is good to go. There's quite a few sentiments in the I Otterly Love You stamp set, but I chose this fun die to put on the bottom of our panel here. I just wanted to add a little extra pink, so I die cut out I trimmed down a 1/2 inch strip of the diagonal striped pink and white paper, and I just layered that on the very bottom, so about 1/8 of an inch is showing on the bottom of our window panel here. I am adding adhesive behind our wave panel only, and then I'm bringing in an A2 size card base. I like to line it up behind my window, hold them together, and then adhere the background. This way I know my waves are straight and it's positioned where I want it, where it's not going to show outside the edges. Next, I want to add some foam tape behind our arched window, and then we'll adhere that on the front of our card base. This is going to put it one level higher and give us a little bit of dimension. Next, we're going to take our love and we're going to add some foam adhesive to the upper portion of the love, because that's the section that's going to sit on the inside of our arched window. And then I need to raise that just a little bit. And then we'll use tape runner on the very bottom of our love, because that's going to go just below our arched window. So everything's nice and even. It's going to be nice and secure. We'll put this in the center, and it fits beautifully there. And then we're going to add our otter. This little guy, we need to double up on the foam adhesive because I want him one layer higher than that window to give it a little added dimension. We'll double up on the adhesive, and then he's going to go right above the L and the O, kind of at a diagonal, like a little angle, as if he's kind of peeking out of that archway. Next, we'll take our cattails. We're not going to add any adhesive. We're going to directly adhere that on the inside of our window, kind of tucking behind our little otter. And then our two little pink, rosy pink hearts, we're going to add some small foam squares behind those. And then we'll place them one above our otter and then the other to the right of our otter, just kind of making a triangle of that rosy pink color. And then we'll remove the release paper here and add this one. I think that's just so adorable. Okay, for finishing touches, all I'm going to do is add some glossy accents. I went over the otter's eyes and the otter's nose with glossy accents, and then I'm going to add some shine to each one of these hearts inside of our archway window for a little bit of shine there. But that is my project today, guys. Oh, let's go over the cattails too. But that's my project today, guys, using Becky Moore's Say It With Stamps collection. This is the I Otterly Love You stamp set. Perfect for the coming season of love. I hope you enjoyed my project. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you again real soon, guys. Bye-bye.